Good evening, my weary academics, and welcome to History to Sleep By, where we nerd out and conk out. If you enjoy calm, narrated history documentaries, or just need a reliable friend to help with restless nights, please subscribe, leave a like, and maybe share a comment about what's happening in your life. That way, you'll always find your way back to us. Now, let's begin tonight's journey. In the crisp November air of 1776, the American Revolution was in full swing. The British forces, under the command of General William Howe, were determined to crush the rebellion. Their eyes were set on Fort Washington, perched on the northern tip of Manhattan Island. This stronghold was held by American forces under Colonel Robert Magaw. It was a strategic point, guarding the Hudson River and providing a critical foothold in the New York campaign. The fort itself was a formidable structure, surrounded by outlying redoubts, including Fort Tryon and the Heights. These defensive works were meant to withstand assaults, but the British were prepared. General Howe devised a multi-pronged attack, a plan that would test the resolve of the American defenders. He coordinated his forces meticulously, ensuring that each contingent knew its role in the coming battle. To the north, the Hessians, led by Lieutenant General Wilhelm von Knyphausen, prepared to advance. These seasoned troops were known for their discipline and effectiveness in battle. Their approach was one of several, each designed to overwhelm the American defenses. Meanwhile, British guards and light infantry prepared to cross the Harlem River, aiming to strike from the east. On the west bank, additional forces stood ready, poised to support the main assault. As dawn broke on November 16th, the British and Hessian troops moved into position. The terrain was challenging, with rugged hills and dense woods providing both cover and obstacles. The Americans, aware of the impending attack, braced themselves. Colonel Magaw, resolute in his command, had been given orders by General George Washington and General Nathaniel Greene. They had debated the fort's fate, with Greene believing it could be held and Washington expressing concerns about its vulnerability. The first shots rang out as the Hessians advanced from the north. Their approach was methodical, pushing through the American defenses with determination. The redoubts fell one by one, the defenders unable to hold against the relentless pressure. From the east, the British guards and light infantry crossed the Harlem River, adding their weight to the assault. The Americans fought bravely, but the odds were against them. Amidst the chaos, the defenders of Fort Tryon and the Heights fought valiantly, yet the British and Hessian forces pressed on, their numbers and coordination proving decisive. The American lines began to crumble, and the fort's defenses were breached. Colonel Magaw, recognizing the futility of further resistance, made the difficult decision to surrender. By midday, the battle was over. Nearly 3,000 American soldiers were captured, along with valuable artillery and stores. The fall of Fort Washington was a significant blow to the American cause. It marked the loss of the last American stronghold on Manhattan Island. The British now controlled the Hudson-Harlem corridor, a critical victory in their New York campaign. In the immediate aftermath, the captured Americans faced harsh conditions. Many were taken to prison ships, where they endured overcrowding and disease. The loss weighed heavily on General Washington, who had hoped to maintain a foothold in New York. The campaign had been a series of setbacks, and the fall of Fort Washington underscored the challenges ahead. For the British, the victory was a testament to their military prowess. General Howe's plan had been executed with precision, and the capture of the fort bolstered British control in the region. Yet, the war was far from over. The American spirit, though battered, remained unbroken. The struggle for independence would continue, with new battles and challenges on the horizon. As the sun set on that fateful day, the landscape of northern Manhattan was forever changed. The echoes of battle faded into the night, leaving behind a quiet that belied the turmoil of the hours before. The story of Fort Washington, with its courage and sacrifice, became a chapter in the larger saga of the American Revolution. It was a reminder of the resilience of those who fought for a cause greater than themselves, a testament to the enduring quest for freedom. And so, as you drift into sleep, let the tale of Fort Washington carry you gently into dreams of history, where the past whispers softly and the night cradles you in its embrace. In the quiet aftermath, the soldiers who had survived the ordeal at Fort Washington found themselves grappling with a mixture of relief and sorrow. The air was thick with the scent of gunpowder, now settling into the earth, mingling with the autumn leaves that carpeted the ground. As the night deepened, the stars began to pierce through the veil of smoke, casting a gentle light over the weary men. They gathered in small groups, their voices hushed, sharing stories of bravery and loss. Each man carried the weight of the day's events, etched into their memories like the lines of a well-worn map. The British forces, having claimed victory, moved with a sense of purpose. Their campfires flickered in the distance, casting long shadows that danced upon the ground. Yet, even in triumph, there was an air of solemnity. The cost of battle was evident to all, a reminder of the price of war. Among the British ranks, officers and soldiers alike reflected on the day's events, aware that this was but one step in a much larger campaign. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, the outcome uncertain. As the night wore on, a gentle breeze began to stir, rustling the leaves and carrying with it the distant sounds of the Hudson River. The river, a silent witness to the unfolding drama, flowed steadily onward, its waters reflecting the moonlight. It served as a boundary, both physical and symbolic, between the past and the future. On its banks, the remnants of the fort stood as a testament to the fierce struggle that had taken place, a reminder of the resilience and determination of those who had defended it. In nearby villages, the news of the battle spread quickly. Families gathered around hearths, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the fire. They spoke in hushed tones, recounting tales of heroism and sacrifice. For many, the events at Fort Washington were a stark reminder of the fragility of their newfound independence. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, there was a shared sense of resolve. The fight for freedom was far from over, and the spirit of resistance burned brightly in their hearts. As dawn approached, the first light of day began to creep over the horizon, casting a soft glow over the landscape. The soldiers, both British and American, awoke to a world that seemed at once familiar and changed. The morning air was crisp, carrying with it the promise of a new day. For the Americans, the loss at Fort Washington was a bitter pill to swallow, yet it steeled their resolve. They understood that the road to independence would be long and arduous, but they were prepared to see it through. In the days that followed, the landscape of northern Manhattan began to heal. The scars of battle, though still visible, slowly faded into the background as nature reclaimed the land. The trees, resilient and steadfast, stood as silent sentinels, bearing witness to the passage of time. The river continued its eternal journey, a constant in a world of change. The story of Fort Washington became woven into the fabric of the American Revolution, a chapter marked by courage and sacrifice. It served as a poignant reminder of the human cost of war, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought for a cause greater than themselves. As the seasons changed and the years passed, the memory of that fateful day lingered, a whisper from the past carried on the winds of history. And so, as you drift into slumber, let the echoes of Fort Washington guide you gently into dreams of a time long past, a time when the quest for freedom was written in the stars, and the night sky held the promise of a new dawn. May the stories of those who came before cradle you in their embrace, as the world around you fades into the soft, comforting darkness of night. In the quiet aftermath of Fort Washington's fall, the American forces found themselves in a precarious position. The loss was a bitter pill to swallow, yet it was not the end of their struggle. The winter of 1776 approached, bringing with it the chill of uncertainty and the weight of decisions yet to be made. The Continental Army, under the leadership of General George Washington, faced the daunting task of regrouping and strategizing for the battles that lay ahead. The resolve of the soldiers, though tested, remained unbroken. They gathered their strength from the shared belief in their cause, a cause that transcended the immediate hardships and pointed towards a future of liberty and self-determination. As the days grew shorter and the nights colder, the Army made its way across New Jersey, shadowed by the specter of the British forces. Washington, ever the strategist, understood the importance of morale and the need for a decisive action that would rekindle the spirit of his men. It was during this time that he conceived a plan that would become legendary in the annals of American history. The idea was bold, perhaps even audacious, but it was precisely what was needed to turn the tide of despair. The plan was to cross the icy Delaware River under the cover of night, a maneuver fraught with danger and uncertainty. The target was the unsuspecting Hessian forces stationed in Trenton, New Jersey. These German mercenaries, fighting for the British, were known for their discipline and strength. Yet, on that particular Christmas night, they were unprepared for what was to come. Washington's choice of timing was deliberate, capitalizing on the element of surprise and the festive distractions of the enemy. As the army gathered on the banks of the Delaware, the air was thick with anticipation. The river, swollen and treacherous, seemed an insurmountable barrier. Yet the soldiers pressed on, driven by the quiet determination that had carried them through so many trials. Boats were readied, and as the clock ticked towards midnight, the crossing began. The night was bitterly cold, the wind biting at exposed skin, but the men rowed with a steady rhythm, their breath visible in the frosty air. The crossing was not without its challenges. Ice floes threatened to capsize the boats, and the darkness made navigation perilous. Yet the men persevered, guided by the distant glow of the lanterns on the opposite shore. By the time the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the army had successfully crossed the river. They regrouped quickly, the adrenaline of the night fueling their march towards Trenton. The attack was swift and decisive. The Hessians, caught off guard, were unable to mount an effective defense. Within hours, the battle was over, and the American forces emerged victorious. It was a triumph that reverberated far beyond the snowy streets of Trenton. News of the victory spread quickly, breathing new life into the revolutionary cause. The daring crossing and subsequent success at Trenton became a symbol of hope, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the American spirit. In the days that followed, the Army continued to press its advantage. The victory at Trenton was soon followed by another at Princeton, further bolstering the morale of the troops and the confidence of the fledgling nation. These victories, though small in scale, had a profound impact on the course of the war. They demonstrated that the Continental Army, despite its setbacks, was a force to be reckoned with. As winter gave way to spring, the memory of that fateful crossing lingered in the minds of those who had been there. It was a story they would tell for years to come, a reminder of what could be achieved through courage and unity. The Delaware River, once a formidable obstacle, became a symbol of the indomitable spirit of the revolutionaries. It was a testament to their ability to overcome adversity, to rise above the challenges that lay before them. And so, as you drift further into the embrace of sleep, let the echoes of that winter night carry you to a place where dreams of freedom and perseverance intertwine. Imagine the gentle lapping of the river against the boats, the quiet determination etched on the faces of those who rode through the darkness. Let the stories of their courage and sacrifice weave a tapestry of dreams, guiding you softly into the night. As the world around you fades, may the spirit of those who fought for a new dawn cradle you in its timeless embrace, whispering tales of hope and resilience as you journey into the realm of dreams. The night air was crisp, carrying with it the faint scent of pine from the distant forests. Stars twinkled above, silent witnesses to the unfolding events below. The river, a silent partner in this nocturnal endeavor, flowed steadily, its surface occasionally disrupted by the gentle splash of oars. Each stroke was a testament to the resolve of those who sought a better tomorrow, a future unshackled from the chains of oppression. In the boats, shadows moved with purpose. Faces illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns bore expressions of quiet determination. These were men and women who had left behind the comfort of their homes, driven by a shared vision. Their breath mingled with the cold air, forming clouds that vanished into the night, much like the doubts and fears they had cast aside. As they rowed, the rhythmic sound of oars dipping into the water became a soothing lullaby, a reminder of the unity that bound them together. It was a unity forged in the fires of struggle, tempered by the shared hardships they had endured. Each stroke brought them closer to their destination, closer to the dawn of a new era. The riverbanks, shrouded in darkness, seemed to whisper secrets of ages past. Tales of those who had come before, who had dared to dream of freedom, echoed softly in the minds of the revolutionaries. They were not alone in their quest. They were part of a continuum, a lineage of souls who had fought for justice and equality. As the boats glided silently through the water, the landscape began to change. The dense forests gave way to open fields, where the silhouettes of distant hills loomed against the starry sky. Here, in this tranquil setting, the enormity of their mission became clear. They were on the cusp of a transformation, one that would ripple through time and space, altering the course of history. In the quiet moments between the strokes, thoughts drifted to loved ones left behind, families who waited anxiously for their return, who believed in the cause with unwavering faith. It was for them, and for future generations, that these brave souls ventured into the unknown. Their courage was a beacon, lighting the way for others to follow. The journey was not without its challenges. The cold seeped into their bones, a persistent reminder of the harsh realities they faced. Yet, even as the chill threatened to sap their strength, the warmth of their resolve burned brightly. It was a fire that could not be extinguished, fueled by the dreams of a better world. As the night wore on, the horizon began to lighten, heralding the approach of dawn. The first rays of sunlight kissed the water, transforming the river into a shimmering ribbon of gold. It was a sight that filled their hearts with hope, a promise of the new day that awaited them. With the coming of the dawn, the boats reached their destination. The revolutionaries disembarked, their feet touching solid ground with a sense of purpose. They had arrived, not just at a physical location, but at a pivotal moment in their journey. It was a moment that would define them, etching their names into the annals of history. As the sun rose higher, casting its warm glow over the land, the revolutionaries gathered to reaffirm their commitment. Their voices, rising in unison, carried the weight of their convictions. It was a chorus of hope, a melody of resilience that resonated across the fields and hills. In that moment, as they stood together, they knew that the path ahead would not be easy. There would be trials and tribulations, obstacles that would test their resolve. But they also knew that they were not alone. They were part of something greater, a movement that transcended time and place. And so, with hearts full of hope and spirits unyielding, they set forth. The journey was far from over, but they faced it with courage and determination. As the day unfolded, they carried with them the lessons of the night, the whispers of the river, and the dreams of those who had come before. In the quiet moments that followed, as the world around them stirred to life, they paused to reflect on the journey. It was a journey that had begun in darkness, but one that would lead them into the light. And as they continued on their path, they carried with them the promise of a new dawn, a future where freedom and justice reigned. The river, now a distant memory, continued its eternal journey, a silent witness to the unfolding story. It was a story of hope and resilience, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream. As the revolutionaries moved forward, they carried with them the echoes of that winter night, a reminder of the power of unity and the strength of the human spirit. The road ahead was long, winding through valleys and over hills, each step a testament to their resolve. The landscape, once unfamiliar, had become a second home, its contours etched into their minds like an old map. The sky above, a vast canvas of stars, guided them through the night, whispering secrets of the cosmos to those who listened closely. The air was crisp, carrying with it the scent of pine and earth, grounding them in the present while their thoughts drifted to the future. As they traveled, stories were shared, tales of past victories and lessons learned. Around the flickering campfires, voices rose and fell, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences. Each story was a thread, binding them together in a fabric of solidarity. The elders spoke of times before, of struggles and triumphs that had paved the way for this moment. Their words were heavy with wisdom, a gentle reminder of the sacrifices that had come before. The younger ones listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder and determination. They were the torchbearers, entrusted with the dreams of their ancestors. In their hearts burned a fire, a desire to build a world where justice was not a distant dream, but a living reality. They knew the path would not be easy, that challenges lay ahead, but they were ready. They had seen the strength that came from standing together, from lifting each other up in times of need. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, the camp stirred to life. The warmth of the sun kissed their faces, a gentle promise of the day to come. They broke camp with practiced efficiency, their movements a dance of purpose and precision. Each task was carried out with care, a reflection of the respect they held for one another and for the land that sustained them. The journey was not just a physical one, it was a journey of the soul. With each step, they shed the fears and doubts that had once held them back. They embraced the unknown, finding strength in the bonds they had forged. The path was theirs to shape, a blank canvas upon which they painted their hopes and dreams. As they moved through villages and towns, they were met with curiosity and sometimes skepticism. But more often than not, they found allies, people who shared their vision and were willing to stand beside them. These encounters were a balm to their spirits, a reminder that they were not alone in their quest. The revolution was not just theirs. It was a movement that transcended borders and backgrounds, a call to action that resonated with all who yearned for change. In the quiet moments, when the world seemed to hold its breath, they found solace in the simple joys. The laughter of a child, the warmth of a shared meal, the beauty of a sunset. All these were reminders of what they fought for. It was the promise of a future where such moments could be enjoyed by all, free from fear and oppression. As the days turned into weeks, their numbers grew. The call for freedom was a powerful one, echoing across the land and drawing people from all walks of life. Farmers, artisans, scholars, and laborers joined their ranks, each bringing their unique skills and perspectives. Together, they formed a mosaic of humanity, united in their quest for a better world. The challenges they faced were many, but they met each one with courage and ingenuity. They learned to adapt, to find strength in diversity, and to draw upon the collective wisdom of their group. In doing so, they discovered a resilience they had not known they possessed, a testament to the power of unity. As they approached the next town, the air buzzed with anticipation. This was a place of significance, a crossroads where decisions would be made and futures forged. They knew the eyes of the world were upon them, watching to see if they would falter or rise to the occasion. But they were ready. They had come too far to turn back now. With hearts full of hope and determination, they entered the town. The streets were lined with people, some cheering, others watching with guarded hope. The revolutionaries moved forward, their steps sure and steady, their eyes fixed on the horizon. They carried with them the dreams of 1,000 generations, a promise of a new dawn. In that moment, they were more than just individuals. They were a force of nature, a wave of change that could not be stopped. The river of history flowed around them, carrying them forward into the unknown. And as they continued their journey, they knew that they were not just witnesses to history, they were its makers, crafting a legacy that would endure for generations to come.